Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to Lyxcode. In today's episode, you're going to be creating with me this global member login system, which will allow you to compare their account creation date to the current date. And in that way, you can calculate a risk level factor. For example, if the account was created within 2 months, then the risk level is going to be medium. If it's higher, obviously it's going to be fairly safe. But if it's within 2 weeks, it's going to be a high risk level, and if it created within a couple of days, then it's gonna be an extreme level. And whenever the level is high or extreme, it's gonna give you the option to kick or ban the user to keep your guild safe. Along, it will also log whenever the member leaves. Now this system is completely global, so and with a simple command, the guild owner can configure the system easily by selecting the login channel that the messages will be sent to, and by selecting the member role that will be automatically added to new members, and the bot role that will be automatically added to new bots who gets invited to the server. If you like my content, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to support me even more, you can subscribe to me on my Ko-fi page, where you can get access to every single source code of every episode that we have created so far. Thank you guys for watching, and let's go on with coding. Alright, so we're gonna start out inside of our index.js by creating a new collection. We're gonna call this collection a guild config. So client.guild config is equal to a new collection. We're gonna be using this collection to store guild configurations that we're gonna pull from the database later on in these steps. So once you have created this collection, head over to your schemas folder or wherever you store your schemas. Create a new file and name it member log or whatever you want. And then here we're gonna require two properties from the Mongoose package. So let's require Mongoose. There we go. And we're gonna require schema, and we're gonna require model. Then we're gonna module dot export, and in here we're gonna export model. And here we're gonna select or give this collection a name. We're gonna call it member log, for example. We're gonna create a new instance of a schema inside of an object, and in here we're gonna assign the stuff that needs to be assigned. So we're gonna assign the guild, which is gonna be guild ID string, and then we're gonna assign the member role, which is also going to be a string, and the bot role, which is also going to be a string. And later on, if you guys have any suggestions, if you want new additions to this member logging system, we can add more stuff in here. So but for now, we're going to be utilizing only these three strings. Once that is done, we're going to exit out of this file too, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a function. So like we see here, we have already a functions folder that we use for our file loader. So we're gonna create a new file inside of it. We're gonna call it, for example, config loader.js. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna access the database, pull all the information, and store it in this guild config collection that we created in the beginning of the episode. So to do that, easy. We're gonna create, first of all, we're gonna require the schema from the schemas folder. So const config database, for example, there we go, equals to require, and here we're gonna require wherever we stored it. It's gonna be inside of our schemas and member log. And however you have your folder structure, it doesn't matter as long as you do your requirements right. All right, and then we're gonna async the function because we're gonna be using the await function, and we're gonna call this, for example, load config, and we're gonna not gonna equal it. Here we're gonna provide the client parameter, and then we're gonna open up an object block. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna open this round brackets, and we're gonna await config database, and we're gonna use the find property, and then we're gonna do a for each outside of the initial round brackets. And in here we're gonna assign the doc as the index. So for each document inside of these documents, because what this is going to return is all of the documents inside of the member log collection. So what we're doing here, we're awaiting because it's gonna take time for all the documents to load. We're gonna wait, and this is gonna return an array, and we're gonna do a for each. So for each entry inside of that array, we're gonna assign the name doc to each entry, and we're gonna execute this code that we're gonna put in between these brackets on the entry. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna type client.guildConfig, and this is what we assigned the collection to be called, so guildConfig. And here we're gonna dot set, and here we're gonna set the dot doc, and here the guild, and then we're gonna open an object just like this inside of this collection, and we're gonna assign the variables to be log channel is gonna be doc.log channel. We're gonna also have the member, and did we store that in the we didn't. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to your schemas again and add the log channel, which is most likely going to be the most important property. So go ahead to your schemas, member log, and add the log channel as a string inside of this schema object. All right. So, all right. Let's do that again. Doc.channel or log channel, just like this. And the member role is going to be doc.member role, and the bot role is going to be doc.bot role. Pretty simple stuff. All right, we're done with this. Here down here we're gonna just return a console log. Return console log, so just so we know that this function is actually working. And here we're gonna say loaded guild configs to the collection. Right, and you see how I'm typing an uppercase letter and lowercase. Don't do that. Just do what's right. All right, once that is done, we're gonna exit out of this, and we're gonna model export this load config function. All right, we're done with the function. So what we're gonna be needing to do now is we're gonna head to our index.js, and under the load events, we're gonna type const load config equals to require wherever we stored this function that we just created, and then we're gonna execute or call on this function and provide the client parameter, excuse me. All right, once that is done, we're gonna be moving on to the next step of actually creating the command that will allow server owners to enable this logging system of this bot and provide all the configurations needed to do so. All right, so now we're gonna close out of the index, the config loader, and we're gonna go ahead to our commands folder, and let's go ahead and add this to moderation, because it's somewhat of a moderation thing to log the members joining. So we're gonna create a new file in here, and we're gonna call it, for example, setup member log, right, .js. And in here, we're gonna require a bunch of stuff from the Discord package. So we're gonna open up a const objects, and we're gonna require discord.js. All right, and here we're gonna require /command builder. We're gonna require permissions flag bits, chat input command interaction, embed builder, and channel type as the last property that we will need. And I hope you see all of this, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna edit the zoom in. All right, once that is done, we're gonna require the database schema that we created. So we're gonna call it database in this file. So const database equals to require dot slash wherever you stored your schema member log. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and create this command. We're gonna model export, and we're gonna assign the data to be a new /command builder instance, and then we're gonna set the name of the command to be setup underscore member log. Whatever, these names are all customizable, but make sure there is no space, because Discord doesn't like spaces in command names. All right, We're gonna set the description of this command, the description, there we go, to be configure the member login system for your guild, right? We're gonna go down and we're gonna set the default permission. We're gonna set the default permission to permission flag bits dot manage guild. So only the server owner or whoever has the manage guild permissions can use this command. And this is very important so you don't have people, random members executing this command and changing your configurations. And then also another important part is to set the DM permission to false. That way members cannot use this command inside of the DMs of your bot. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and add a channel option. So we're gonna .add channel options. There we go. Options. There's so many ways to do this, and you don't need this around brackets. Do it however you like, however you feel comfortable. There is no really blueprint to how to do this stuff perfectly. All right, and here we're gonna assign the name to this channel option to be log_channel. We're gonna also provide a description as it's a requirement. So select the logging channel for this system, and we're gonna add a channel type. So because we don't want this command user to select voice channels, because you can't obviously send messages to voice channel. So we're gonna add the channel type to be guild text, and we require the channel type property from the Lyxcode package up here. All right, once that is done, we're gonna set this this option to be required. And the other options that we're gonna have are not gonna be required, but if somebody wants this member login system, then obviously they need to have a channel to log to, so that's why it's required. Now for the other options, these are the role options. So like I showed you in the beginning of the video, it's when a member joins, it assigns that member to a member role, and if a bot was invited, it will assign the bot role to that bot basically. So in here we're gonna add a new role option, add role option, same concept, options, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna set the name, and then here we're gonna set it to be member_role, and we're gonna also set the description, and here we're gonna say set the role to be automatically added. I'm pretty sure I wrote automatically completely wrong. Automatically. Let's see if this works out. Added to new members. All right. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this and paste it under here. Let's fix this real quick and change the name from member_role to bot_role, and in here to be added to a new bots instead. New members and new bots. All right. Now we're done with the structure of the command. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna async execute and make sure to put a comma in between the execute function and the actual command structure or data itself. And here we're gonna provide parameters, and it's easier to fill out this before. So interaction client, because we're gonna be using both the interaction object and the client instance. And in here we're gonna put the chat input interaction inside of the parameter for the interaction. We don't need it for the client, so we're just gonna remove it. All right, once that's out of the way, and here we're gonna type const and open up an object and equal it to the interaction. That way we can grab stuff from the interaction object without typing interaction dot. So we're gonna grab the guild, we're gonna grab the options. All right, that way we can define the log channel. So let you can also use const in here. Let's use const log channel equals log channel, just like this, equals to options dot get channel, and in here we're gonna provide the name of this channel option. So log channel and we only need the ID, so we're gonna grab the .id of it. And we know that this will return something because this option is required. So that's why we don't have to check uh, if it exists or not. But we're gonna have to do it to these options. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down a couple more lines. We're gonna type let member role equals to options.get role, and then here we're gonna provide the name of the option, right? Member role, and here we're gonna add a question mark. So if this returns something, and it might not because it's not a required option, so but if it did um, return something, then we're gonna grab the options dot get role again from it dot id. So we're gonna define, if this returns something, we're gonna define the member role to be the id of the role object that got returned. But if it didn't, we're gonna add this sign, and we're gonna assign it to be null. And this is important because in the database, if we have an ID, we're gonna put the ID, but if we don't have an ID, we need to put it at null so nothing breaks in the other stuff that we're gonna be creating. Same concept with the bot role, so you can just copy and paste it and remove the bot role. Change the name to bot role instead of member role, and also don't forget to change these two to the bot role. All right, now this is done. We're gonna go down a couple more lines, and in here we're gonna await database dot find one and update. And why we're gonna find one and update? It's because it's gonna shake. So if an entry in the database exists with this guild ID that the command was executed in, we're gonna update the values of the properties inside of it. But if it doesn't exist, then we're gonna create a new document inside of the database with this information. So that way, let's say the server owner wants to change the login channel to another channel, they can just reuse this command, and it will automatically change without nothing happening. All right, so find one and update, and in here we're gonna we're gonna open object in here, and guild is gonna be equal to guild ID. So we're gonna find a document that equals the guild ID, and then whenever we find one, or we don't, we create one. We're gonna type log channel, gonna be equal to the log channel that we created in here. Member role is gonna be equal to the member role. Bot role is gonna also be equal to the bot role, and we're gonna create another object under here, and we're gonna type new equals to true and upsert equals to true. And you can learn more about upsert and new in the documentation of the Mongoose package. All right, once that is done, so that way we have defined what these stuff are, and we have added them to the database. Now we need to add them to the collection that we created previously in the beginning of the episode. And what we can do to simplify this, we can I'm gonna show you. So let's begin with client.guild config.set, and in here it's gonna be guild ID and then an object. So instead of typing or making it copy pasting this, we can create one object, and we can sort it in them. So let's, for example, say const guild config object equals to this. All right, let's make this, and we can put this in here and in here, but let's not do that for now because I don't know if this will cause any issues. So let's do this a safe way right now. And of course, guys, whenever we update something in this system, I'm gonna leave the link down in the description for the updated tutorial. So if you don't see anything in the description about an update for this episode, then know that this system is up to date. All right, now that we have added these to the collection, we're basically done. We only need to create an embed and we need to respond to this command. So let's type const embed equals to embed a new embed builder. We're gonna set the color to be green, for example. You can choose whatever you color you want. We're gonna set a description, and then here we're gonna be utilizing the array.join method. So we're gonna create an array, all right? And then in here we're gonna type dot join, and we're gonna join the entries with a space or the indexes, whatever you wanna call them. And then here we're gonna say, for example, logging channel updated, and or whatever you want to say in here. We're gonna have the log channel ID in here within these brackets and this hashtag, so we can actually get the object of the logging channel. We're gonna create a new entry, and then here we're gonna say member auto role updated, and then here we're gonna type, and here we're gonna type the $sign and the curly brackets. We're gonna type member role, and remember, because the member role might return null. So member role, if it exists, then we're gonna set this to be this brackets, I don't know what it's called, and then this add sign, and plus what sign was it? The add sign, because this is a role, it's not a member ID. And then in here we're gonna provide the member role. Let me make sure this is right. So this bracket at, and yeah, this is right. So if it exists, we're gonna provide this, and if it doesn't, then we're gonna provide non-specified, or not would be a better option, not specified. We can copy this, add a comma here, paste it, and then here we can change the member to bot. Same concept here, bot role and bot role. All right, once that is done, we're gonna go ahead and return an interaction dot reply embeds. We're gonna store or we're gonna put this embed inside of the array. All right, so let's go ahead and open our terminal. We're gonna type node space dot. All right, like we see here, loaded guild config to the collection, even though we don't have anything inside of that. So let's go ahead and open the MongoDB Compass. If you have this, obviously it's good to have it. This is the MongoDB database. If you don't have this, we have an episode on how to create it. And like we see here, there is already an object because I was testing before this episode, so let's delete that. But you should be able to see the member logs collection in here. All right, once that is done, let's go to Discord and test out this function. So what I did, I went ahead and created the member log channel, and I've also created the bot role and the member role. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna type slash and go ahead to our bot, and we should see the setup member log like we see here. The logging channel, we're gonna select the member log channel, the bot role, or let's begin with the member role. We can assign it to the member role that we created, and this is the role that is gonna be added to the members whenever they join. The bot role, we're gonna select it to be the bot role in here, and we're gonna press enter. And like we see here, we have whatever we typed out in the code. And now if we go to the database and go to infractions and back to it, we can see that we have a new document in here. And let's say you want to change the bot role. So we're gonna go ahead, or you're gonna remove the bot role, so you don't want it to be added. We're gonna redo the command. We're gonna add the member log. The member role is gonna be a member, and we're gonna leave the bot role empty. All right, and here it's gonna tell us not specified, and it should remove it from here. So this bot role should be null. So let's refresh again, and like you see, it's null. So everything is working as we would like so far. All right, so the next step is to actually create the logging system, which is we're gonna be listening. And before we do that, actually, we're gonna be creating the emit command, and that way we can test if our member login is actually working or not. So that's our next step. All right, so we're gonna exit out of this file. We're gonna go ahead to the developer the developer command category. We're gonna create a new category inside of it, and here we're gonna say, or we're gonna call it utils, for example. And inside of here, we're gonna create a temporary command, um, and this command, when we execute it, an event is gonna be emitted. So basically, we can test out our system. So we're gonna call this emit.js. We're gonna require a couple of stuff from the Lyxcode package again. So let's require Lyxcode.js. Right, and here what we're gonna do is we're gonna require /command builder. There we go. I'm having a hard time typing. We're gonna also require permission flag bits, client, and chat input command interaction. All right, and then we're gonna model export. It's gonna be a very simple command, so that is gonna equal to a new instance of the /command builder. The name is gonna be emit. All right, and then the description is gonna say, set description. It's gonna say emit the guild member member add / remove events, and we're gonna delete this this command after we're done with this episode, so it doesn't matter what you really say. It's important to set the default permission to administrator or something, or manage guilds, so while you're testing this in your server, the users don't emit it all the time. Set the default permission to also false. All right, now that this is done, we're gonna add a comma. We're gonna execute interaction and client. Right, it should be in lowercase letter. And then we're gonna grab our parameters for this stuff. So chat input interaction to the interaction, and client to the client. And this is just to make it so you see the actual properties. Right, if you delete this, then you won't see the properties. So that's why we use the parameters. They're not really important. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna type client.emit. We're gonna emit the guild member add event. And we're gonna provide the interaction member as the member that supposedly joins. All right, and then we're gonna interaction dot reply content emitted guild member add, and we're gonna make it ephemeral so only us sees it. All right, now that is done, we can use our reload commands function in here that we created an episode on it previously, so we don't have to restart our bot. And obviously it's gonna take some time for the commands to reload, and sometimes it's instance, so it's up to Discord's basically mood for the day. So we're gonna wait a couple of seconds until this command appears. And what you can also do, you can refresh Discord by pressing Ctrl R, and that will refresh Discord for you. All right, see here, and now we have this command. So if we emit, it can tell us guild member added, and it's not gonna do anything right now because we don't have yet the emit listener, but we know that it's emitted with no errors in the console, so we know the emit command is working. So let's remove these for now. All right, so now the next step is to actually create the event listener on the guild member add, and then later on the guild member remove. All right, so we're gonna exit out of this file. We're gonna go ahead to our events folder. We're gonna create a new category, and we're gonna call it guild basically. And inside of here, we're gonna create a new file. We're gonna call it guild or guild member add, or whatever you wanna call it. You can call it member logging system. It's all up to you. You're the developer of your own bot. Right, in here what we're gonna do is require a couple of stuff from the Discord package, like we did previously. We're gonna require guild member. We're gonna require embed builder, action row builder, button builder, and button style, because we're going to be creating buttons like you saw in the beginning of this episode. And what we're going to do is we're going to download a package which is called Moment. So go to your terminal, turn off your bot by pressing Ctrl C, and then here you're going to type npm I moment and enter, and this should download the Moment package for you. It's a very lightweight package, so you don't have to worry about it performance wise. All right, now we're gonna type const moment equals to require moment. All right, so now we're gonna model export. We're gonna set the name of this event listener to guildMemberAdd, and this is case sensitive, so it has to be exactly how it is. And then we're gonna async execute, and what we need to execute is the member object and client. So weird to call it execute, but yeah. All right. We're gonna grab our parameters for guild member, which is gonna be guild member, and the client. We don't really need the parameters, because we're only gonna be utilizing the collection. All right. So what we're gonna do now is check. So this file is gonna execute every time a member joins in any of the guild. Doesn't matter if they have the system enabled or not. So what we're gonna check is from the beginning, if this guild does not have configurations inside of the collection that we created in here, then that means that they don't want the system to work in their guild. So we're gonna check for it. So guild config equals to client dot guild config dot get. You're gonna get it by the member dot guild id, and if it doesn't exist, so if exclamation mark guild config, then we're gonna return. We're gonna exit out of this file because they don't have the system enabled. So from the beginning. So, but if they did have the guild config, that means the system is enabled. So we're gonna go on and execute our code. So the first of all, we're gonna type const guild roles. We're gonna define or we're gonna fetch the guild roles. It's gonna be guild roles equals to member.guild.roles.cache. All right, and this is gonna grab the cached roles. We can also fetch, but it's not really necessary in this case. And then we're gonna type let assigned role. So we're gonna check in here if the member is a bot, then the role that we're gonna assign to them is the bot role, and if they are a member, we're gonna assign the member role obviously to them. But if not, if there's no roles in the collection, then we're not gonna assign anything. So we're gonna check. So member equals to member dot bot. Sorry, member dot user dot bot. So if they are a bot, then the role we're gonna assign to them is guild roles dot get, and then here we're gonna get the guild config dot what was it, bot role. So if the member is a bot, then we're gonna go ahead to the collection, and we're gonna grab the bot role and assign it to this variable. But if not, we can do this like this also to ease it out on your eyes. If not, then we're gonna grab the member role instead. So member role. All right. Once that is done, we're gonna move down, and we're gonna check. So if there is no assigned role, then in here that means that they haven't added roles to the configuration, so they don't want the roles to be added. Then we're gonna equal this variable to not configured, and that's why we used let instead of const here, because const you cannot change based on conditions, but let you can. All right, not configured. Right, but else if they have added roles, we're gonna await member dot roles dot add, and we're gonna add the assigned role. Pretty simple. And what we can do is we're gonna dot catch. right? And in here we can say assigned role equals to failed do role hierarchy. I'm pretty sure that's completely wrong, but we'll go with it anyway. So what we're doing here is we're gonna check if because this is a promise, we're gonna check if there was any issue, we're gonna catch it, and then we're gonna reassign this variable to be failed due to role hierarchy, because most likely the issue is the role is actually higher than the boss role. Alright, once that is done, we're gonna define the const logging channel. So const log channel is equal to, and here we're gonna await member.guild.channels.fetch. Here we're gonna fetch it, we're not gonna get it from the cache. Then we're gonna get guild config dot log channel. We're gonna get this channel as an object, but if the channel if there is an ID to the channel, which is most likely gonna be because it's required, but if the channel doesn't exist, the channel got deleted, for example, then we're gonna return. So if log channel exclamation mark log channel, then we're gonna return. All right, so we're gonna exit out of the code in here. All right. Now we're gonna assign the default, so let color equals to whatever you want. Let's say black, right? Or this is, I'm gonna show you the give you the default color for Discord channels, which is 74E21E. This is the default color. We're gonna check it out later, and then we're gonna assign the risk to be fairly safe. All right. So this is all the defaults. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab the account creation time and the joining time. So we're gonna type const account creation equals to %, and I'm gonna explain why we're using %. And here we're gonna type member.user.created timestamp divided by 1000. All right. So the percent once we get the created timestamp, all right, and divide it by 1000, sometimes we get the number dot a couple of numbers. So we get basically dots, let's say 100,000.012. We don't want the 012 because it's gonna break our Discord time formatting inside of our embed. And why we are dividing it by 1000? Because this created timestamp will give us the milliseconds, but when we divide it with 1000, it's gonna give us seconds, which is easier to work with. So now we're gonna type the joining. We're gonna grab the joining time. So joining. Let's see what we're gonna call it. Joining time. Let's call it joining time. And it's gonna be the same concept. %, and it's gonna be member.joined at divided by 1000, so we can grab the seconds. All right, and now we're gonna define when like I showed you in the beginning how the color of the embed is gonna change based on the user created time, and how the risk is gonna be calculated. So we're gonna define what a month ago is in seconds. So we're gonna type const month ago. It's gonna be 2 months, so month ago equals to moment equals to subtract, and we're gonna subtract by 2. We're gonna subtract months, and we're gonna grab the Unix number, and we're gonna copy paste it a couple of more times, say 3 times. We're gonna change this to weeks ago and days ago, and it's gonna be same concept. Instead of month, it's gonna be weeks. Instead of month, is gonna be days. All right. So now we have figured out the 2 months ago relating to this time of whenever this was executed, 2 weeks and 2 days. All right. So now we're gonna create a couple of if statements, and there's multiple ways of doing this, but the most simple way is creating a chain of if statements. So here we're gonna check if account creation date of the user is bigger, or I'm gonna explain to you, or equal to month ago, which is gonna be 2 months ago. So what's gonna shake? This month ago is gonna return a number. Let's say 1,600 and whatever. All right, this number. And this is basically an example of what 2 months ago are like. And this is also gonna provide a number. Let's say 1,600 or 8 instead. So what's gonna happen is, because this timestamp of the account creation is the number is larger than 2 months ago, that means that this account was created before or previous to 2 months ago, so more than 2 months ago. So that's what we're checking here. So if this number is greater than this number, then it's created um, later than 2 months ago. So we're gonna check, and here we're gonna define the color to be, and we're gonna change this variable. Basically, color is gonna equal to e2pba. See here, I have it on my phone, so I know the colors. E, and you can change this to whatever colors you want. You can put red in here, for example. But this is the colors I'm gonna use, the same ones that I showed you in the beginning of this video. The risk is gonna be also is gonna be medium, right? And we can copy paste this a couple of more times, just like this, and change from month ago to week ago, days ago, and here we can say change this to extreme, like this. We can change the color to be E21E1E. You can put red in here, but I just have these colors because they look nice. So E24D1E. All right. So this is the colors that I'm gonna be using, but you can, like I said, use green, black, whatever you want. All right. And now all we need to do is create the embed. So const embed equals to a new collection. Sorry, not collection. We can remove that again. Equals to new embed builder. It's 7 almost 8 a.m. my time. I'm pretty tired, so sorry for that. Now we're gonna set the author. We're gonna set the author inside of object. Name is gonna be with this backticks, member.user.tag, and then it's gonna be member. See what happened here. Oh, oops, let's delete this. It needs to be inside of this. It's gonna be member.id, and then icon URL is gonna be member display avatar URL, and it's gonna be dynamic true. All right, we're gonna move on to the color. We're gonna sorry, let's remove this. We're gonna set the color to be color. We're gonna set the thumbnail to be member.user.display avatar URL, and it's gonna be, the thumbnail is different from member display avatar, because this is gonna show the server display avatar. This is gonna show the user display avatar, because they can be different with the new Discord update. And it's gonna be dynamic true, and we're gonna set the size, for example, to 256. Doesn't really matter, to be honest, to be completely honest with you. Now we're gonna set the description. It's gonna be also using arrays, and we're gonna be joining this arrays with a space, just like this. And the first one is gonna be, let me grab copy that symbol that we use. So give me a second so I can grab it. All right, there we go. I'm gonna leave it in the description so you guys can take it. So user is gonna equal to member.user, which is the user object, and then we're gonna have the account type, and it's gonna be member.user.bot. If it's a bot, then it's gonna be a bot type. If it's not, then it's gonna be a user. And here is gonna be role assigned, and it's gonna be the variable assigned role. And then here we're gonna type risk level equals to risk, and we're gonna add an additional new line in here, and then in here we're gonna type account created, and then here comes the Discord time formatting. So it's gonna be this bracket t, and then equals to account creation equals to d, and this bracket. I'm gonna leave in the description a Reddit post explaining this time format Discord time formatting. It's very nice guide, so you understand it better. But for now, we're gonna just follow along. So it's gonna be the same concept: t account creation, and then it's gonna be a relative. All right, we can copy this, paste it below, put a comma in here, and instead of account created, it's gonna be shade account joined. Instead of this, it's gonna be joining time. All right, we're gonna go down here and we're gonna type set footer to be text joined, and then we're gonna set the timestamp. Oops, timestamp just like this. And now here we're gonna go ahead and create the buttons. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna check. So if risk is equal to extreme, like this, the same way we wrote it in here. So if the risk is extreme, or the risk is high, why we're doing these checks? Because we're only going to be showing the buttons to accounts that have the extreme or medium risk. Oh, and we did something wrong here. This should be high, shouldn't be medium. So there we go. So if it's high or extreme, then we're going to create the buttons over here. So we're going to type const buttons equals to new action row builder. We're going to add components, and inside the components, we're going to create a new button builder. We're going to set the custom ID, and this is important that you do it this way. So let's we're going to type member logging dash kick dash member dot id, and I'm going to show you why we're using this. This is a very clever way of doing it, by the way, so I take full credit. No, I'm just joking with you. So we're going to set the label to be kick, and we're going to set the style to be button style. It's going to be danger. All right, let's copy this button and paste it again. Instead of kick, we're going to add ban, and let's add a comma here too. And instead of kick here, we're going to add ban. All right, and then we're going to type return logging log channel dot send embeds. I wrote this wrong. Embeds just like this with our embed, and components gonna be the buttons. All right, but we can type else return, copy this, paste it here, and we can remove the components. All right, so now this is finally done. So let's try it out. So let's node space dot start the bot. All right, let's go ahead and use our emit command. And like you see here, it sent this message to the member log channel like we've set it to be. And like you see here, I'm fairly safe. All right, but now I'm gonna change the creation date of my account. Where is it? It's over here. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go grab a custom ID and I'll be right back to you. So yeah, I'm gonna be using this website. Like you see, this is the timestamp. So I'm gonna make it basically, I'm gonna copy this as it is. All right, I copied it. I'm gonna paste it here instead, and we'll return it back. Now, if we go and update our events, reload events, or if you don't have this function, you can just restart your bot, right? And if I do emit now, then like you see here, I'm gonna be extreme because it's gonna show that my account was created 30 seconds ago. And now I have the kick and ban buttons. Now if I click them, nothing is gonna happen because we're not clicking on them. So now we know that is working. So let's revert back, right? And now restart our events, do emit, and I should be green again. So yeah, this is working fine. Now all we have to do is respond to the kick and ban buttons, and we're done with this system. So alright, let's go to our yeah, actually we're gonna use the same file as this one, right? Guild. You can create a new folder and put it in, but for example, for this time we're not. We can just call it guild or member member login buttons.js, and here we're gonna require the button interaction from the Lyxcode package and the embed builder. That's all we need. We're gonna require it from here. Alright, and now this done, we're gonna model export. We're gonna name this event listener interaction create. Remember that this is case sensitive. We're gonna async execute interaction. See interaction. Alright, we're gonna grab our parameter. We're gonna copy this. It's easier to copy and paste than to type on this keyboard, to be honest with you. So here we're gonna say if interaction is not a button, then we're gonna return. Make sure to add the round brackets in here, right? So if this interaction is not a button, we're gonna return. And now we're gonna split the custom ID because if you remember here, we have member login, kick, member ID, and this is intentionally like this so we can know if where this button is coming from. Obviously, member login button, and what is the action that this button has, which is going to be the kick, and the member ID that's going to be kicked. So we're going to split the array because custom ID is going to return this. Basically, we're going to create an array out of it, split it with a dash. So we're going to type const split array equals to interaction custom ID dot split, and we're gonna split it with the dashes. So this is gonna return an array of the entries. So we're gonna check if exclamation mark split array index 0. Index 0 is gonna be the member login. All right. If it isn't member, and we can copy this to eliminate all typing errors, member login, then we're gonna also return. And basically, this custom ID doesn't have the member login in it. All right, so now we're gonna continue. We're gonna type const member dot equals to await interaction dot guild dot members dot members dot fetch. We're gonna fetch the members. Then we're gonna dot get. We're gonna get it from the split array index. Index that's gonna be 2 because let's see here, index this is 0 and this is 1 and this is 2. Indexes or arrays always begin with the index 0. All right. If and we're gonna do the checks later, so don't worry. We're gonna define the embed const embed whatever you want to call it equals to a new embed builder. Embed builder is like this, and we're gonna type const error array equals to an empty array. We're gonna push all the errors inside this array and send it in one message, all in one message, so it's easier for us. So if interaction, we're gonna check the first check if interaction exclamation mark interaction dot member dot permissions dot has kick members. So we're checking if the member that is pressing this button doesn't have the kick members permission. Then we're gonna error array dot push. We're gonna say you do not have the required permissions for this action, right? The other check if there isn't a member, then we're gonna error array dot push. This user is no longer a member of this guild, for example. And the third check is gonna be if exclamation mark member dot moderatable. So if the member is not moderatable by the bot, we're also gonna return an error saying push this user, or actually you can type this member is not moderatable by this bot, right? And now we're gonna check if any of these errors occurred and the error array has any of them. We're gonna type if error array dot length. So if it has a length, then we're gonna directly return interaction dot reply. Let's say embeds, and then here we can type embed dot set description. We're gonna set the description of error array dot join with a space, and we're gonna also make it ephemeral, so only the button presser sees it. And that's basically it for error checking. Now we're gonna create a switch statement. So switch split array 1, which is gonna be the kick or the ban. So we're gonna split. We're gonna check if the case is kick, then we're gonna execute this code, and then we're gonna break. But if the case is ban, then we're gonna execute this code or break. So in case the action is kick, we're gonna type member dot kick. Here we're gonna say kicked by interaction dot user dot tag and member logging system, right? Then we're gonna type dot 10. Gonna open up the object, and here we're gonna say interaction dot reply embeds inside of this array embed dot set color green, and then set description. Or actually, we don't need to set it to be green. We're just gonna set the description, and here we're gonna say member has been kicked, right? But if it errors out for some reason, some reason dot catch, we're gonna catch it, and we're gonna say interaction reply. We can copy this, and here we can say could not be kicked. All right, now we're gonna copy this, paste it inside of the ban, and instead of kick ban, and instead of kick the banned, and same thing here. And we are basically done, guys. So now let's test this out. So node space dot, and if you have the refresh commands, you can use them. And now let's test this out. All right, so let's try to kick myself. Like we see here, I'm not moderatable by the bot because I am actually the owner. Same thing goes with ban. Now if I switch to my other account, let's go ahead and switch, and I try to use the kick, it's gonna tell us the error, you do not have the required permission for the action, and the second error, which is Lyx is not moderatable by this bot. So it's working pretty good. All right, so now let's go ahead and switch back to Lyx. Let's see this server. All right, this is basically done and working. Now what I am gonna do is let's say let's test the roles. So like you see, I have the member role. All right, I'm gonna remove it, but now if I do emit again, it's gonna be added to me, like you see here, and it's gonna tell us there was assigned member. And if a bot joins, it's also gonna say bot instead of member, and it's gonna assign the bot role if the guild owner assigned it. So we know that this is working. All right, and trust me, the kick and ban command are gonna work. I'm not gonna go through the hassle of joining with the other account again and again. This episode is gonna be 2 hours long. But all right, now the system is basically done, guys. Now all we have to do is create the guild member remove event listener. So guild member remove. So this is whenever a member leaves instead of joins. Same concept. We're gonna require. Let's require discord.js guild member embed builder action row. Uh, Actually, we don't need action row. Why are we requiring the action row? Only a guild member and embed builder, and we're gonna require moment. So const moment equals require. Uh, Actually, do we need moment here? Nah, to be honest, we don't need it. So let's not add it. We're gonna type model export name. It's gonna be guild member remove. Remember, this is case sensitive. We're gonna async execute the member and client, and then let's grab our parameters from here. Do this the right way. Guild member. We don't need the parameter for the client. All right, and here we're gonna shake. So the same concept. Guild config equals to client dot guild config dot get member dot guild id. If it doesn't exist, then the member logging system is not set up, so we're gonna return. But if it does, then we're gonna continue. So we're gonna check for the log channel as well. So const log channel equals to await member dot guild dot channels dot fetch, and then we're gonna dot get guild config dot log channel. If it doesn't exist, then we're gonna return. I'm having a lot of trouble typing return today. All right, now we're gonna type a const account creation equals to %, member.user.created at divided by 1000. Actually, this needs to be created timestamp. All right, and then we're gonna create our embed. So const embed equals to new embed builder. We're gonna set the author to be same concept again, name, and actually we can go ahead from here, copy the author. All right, we're gonna set it here. Then we're gonna set the thumbnail. Let's also copy the thumbnail, copy it, paste it here, and then we're gonna set the description to be the same concept with erase. Here we can say, let's copy this dot from over here. Here we're gonna say user member dot user, and here account type gonna be the same concept, member.user.bot. If it's a bot, it's gonna be a bot. If it's not, then it's gonna be a user. All right, and then last but not least is account created, and it's gonna have let's copy this again. See, account created. Let's copy it completely from here, and then we have to dot join with a new line. We're gonna set footer text left, and we're gonna set the timestamp. Right now, log channel dot send embeds, embeds gonna equal to embed. All right, now we are completely done. So let's clear and put node space dot. All right, now if I emit, it's gonna send this emitted the guildMemberAdd. It's gonna send this message, and if we switch channel, I'm gonna show you how to switch. Let's go to general instead. right? Member role is gonna be member, or bot role is gonna be bot. Now if I do emit again, then the message will be sent to the general channel. Now also, when I leave, so let's go ahead to guild to the emit event, or emit command, and change this to guild member remove, right? I shouldn't have restarted bot, I could have just reloaded events, but if I do emit now, then it's gonna say user leaks account type left. So yeah, it was pretty simple and straightforward. It's a long episode, yes, I agree, but this is how it is when I need to explain everything I'm doing. So I hope you guys found this system interesting, and if you have any suggestions to add on to it, please leave them down in the in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.